Here we are, everybody. The end of 2023. Man, what a crazy and wild and weird year it's been. You know what? Why don't we just take a quick dive into this past year and see what this crazy hellscape has brought us? So yeah, 2023 was a pretty big year. A full 365 days, which is such a big number. In fact, it's so big, I don't even think I could count to it. So many crazy and notable events happened this year that shaped the cultural landscape. You know, like Ian and Anthony's acquisition of Smosh, Linkin Park unveiling unreleased music, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer being the best COD experience that I've had in years, Cyberpunk's redemption with Phantom Liberty, musical comebacks from I See Stars and Bless the Fallen, and even Creed. Motionless in White's inaugural festival in Scranton, which was awesome. The Metalocalypse and Venture Bros conclusions finally released, thank God. We got a brand new season of Aqua Teen, which is great. Asking Alexandria put out an album that wasn't bad. I'm not knocking See What's on the Inside, that record was really good and it struck a chord with me. But House on Fire, get out. I don't want to talk about the Black. Everything else before that was great. Where Do We Go From Here is a great album. Omegle finally shut down, thank God. That site was just a playground for teenagers and for also the worst kinds of people on the planet. And The Do. I love The Do. We had an unexpected collaboration between Megan Thee Stallion and Spiritbox, which goes hard. The government finally acknowledged UFOs. SpongeBob's dating Ariana Grande, which is crazy. Taylor Swift temporarily dominated the planet. In fact, she was even dominating the NFL for a bit, which apparently pissed off a lot of people. I get it. You want to see the Chiefs play. You don't want to see Taylor Swift. I get it. Elon Musk is still running Twitter into the ground. Zaslav is also running Warner Bros. Discovery into the ground. The WGA and SAG strikes were happening. The McDonald's Grimace milkshake took over TikTok for a bit. Bam Margera is over 100 days sober, and he looks great, and I'm super happy and proud of him. Barbenheimer was a trend. I have yet to see either of those two movies, by the way. Well, that's a lie. I saw the end of Oppenheimer. That's only because somebody posted the full fucking movie on Twitter, because you can do that now, I guess. So I skipped to the end just to see what happened. The red Astro Boy boots kind of took over for like a day. I still want to get a pair, but there was the Titan submarine implosion. That was something. Oh, and how can I forget the most important piece of news to ever come out of 2023? The GTA 6 trailer. Holy moly guacamole, extra cheese, and pepperoni. The viewership on that trailer is the equivalent of, I would say, half of the United States' population at this point. What are we at now? Like we're over 300 million. I don't know the exact number, I just know we're over 300 million. And of course, this is only scratching the surface, or this is only the tip of the iceberg. Ooh. I'm sure there are plenty of other things that happened that are way more significant than the things I'm listing, but these are just the things that I paid attention to the most, and the only things I can remember that came out of this year. But what about this channel? What have we as a community accomplished in the last 365 days? Well, we began the year with around 8K subscribers and somehow ended up hitting 20K subscribers earlier this month, which is insane. That's a bigger number than 365. I can't even count to 365. Not only that, but I've got to meet and collaborate with tons of other creators as well, like Lucian, his wife Anastasia, and 420 from The Weekly Geekly and Deathcast. Ronnie from Dancing is Forbidden, who by the way had a cameo in the latest season of Aqua Teen, and I'm so happy for him. Like, that's awesome. Rilo from the Guild of Calamitous podcast. I've been talking a lot with a great guy named Mellow Joseph lately. He's great, his content's great. I had the pleasure of having Truff's stuff on my Venture Bros iceberg. I got to work with the one and only The Dan the Man Show on a couple different projects this year, which was cool. I got to hop on one of his videos and he hopped on one of mine, and it was cool. BH Ultra and I got to collab a couple times this year, which was cool. There's also Jay Latine, who's great. And of course my Icelandic brother, Q, who I'm currently working on something with at the moment. Also, I've uploaded the least amount of content this year, yet somehow managed to grow more this past year than I ever have before, which makes zero sense at all. My band Water on Red released our 4th album, Disappointment, and an EP titled Bump, which is an acronym for something which I'm not going to discuss, but if you want a hint as to what it means, look at the album art. And I mean, really look at it. I learned how to do taxes this year. I supported my friend's brand new business by getting a tattoo from him almost every single week, which really screwed with my body for a bit. I feel like I've somewhat gotten better at both writing scripts and editing. I'm not gonna say that I'm like a fucking genius at it, but I think I've gotten better. Maybe, probably not. I've learned to challenge myself and take risks, especially with YouTube. Like for example, of course I've uploaded a lot more icebergs, but I've also even learned to experiment and try new things. And surprisingly, some of those experiments did very well. I also grew a little bit out of my comfort zone and started driving to some brand new places that I've never been to before, and did some exploring. I went to a couple local emo nights, which were a lot of fun. I met a lot of new friends. I also got a chance to go to Bermuda, which was cool. And overall, I just spent the last 365 days making content, having a lot of anxiety attacks, which isn't good, and I should probably get checked out. And I've also just been partying with my friends, which has been a lot of fun. However, not everything this year, both with YouTube and the real world, was something worth hitting the gritty for, if you know what I mean. What the fuck does that even mean? And I mean, for starters, Jordan left Bring Me the Horizon, and Post-Human 2 Next Gen is delayed until 2024, which really bites. It really salts my apples. I also didn't have any success in the dating world, which I mean is pretty obvious by my looks. I hate self-deprecating humor, but I mean, come on. But then again, when have I ever had any luck with that kind of shit? I also failed a lot of personal goals that I had set up for myself this year, but honestly, I'm not upset by that. Besides Next Gen's delay and my lack of Riz, I'm pretty content. In fact, I learned a valuable lesson this year about overpromising and under-delivering. You know, I need to slow down, stop being super ambitious and unrealistic, and create smaller goals for myself. I don't know if you guys know this, I could be a very ambitious person, and in fact, most of the time I tend to be very ambitious. Sometimes I like to believe that I can do everything in one day, which is just not realistic in the slightest. Maybe when I was a kid, my daily tasks were more simple, but over the last year I struggled a lot with doing a lot more tasks in a single day because of the amount of tasks I would give myself. And the amount of tasks I would give myself were just not obtainable in 24 hours. Things take time, so moving into 2024, I have just a few goals for myself. I want to make enough money to survive. I want to keep hanging out with my friends and having fun. I want to make some great videos and music. I also want to slow down, take better care of my health, take breaks when I need to, especially mental health breaks. And I also want to stop punishing myself mentally whenever I don't complete what I have to complete and just go easier on myself. And I mean, if I could somehow learn how to get some Riz, I'd be happy too, but you know, that's an afterthought. I made like a whole list of New Year's resolutions last year, like getting glasses, having my right arm sleeve finished, saving money, hitting 10k subs, running 5k, and from that list I only hit like a couple of those goals. But the truth of the matter is that my sleeve is going to take more time, maybe longer than a year. I may not have run a 5k this year, but I did go back to the gym briefly, which was fun. I need to get glasses though, like this is becoming a problem. I also planned on creating a lot more videos this year than I did. In fact, my end of 2022 video had a whole list of videos I was planning to create, but I barely touched half of them. So for 2024, I'm done overpromising and under-delivering. This year, I'm gonna be honest and realistic with my goals and plans, because I'm tired of lying to you guys all the time, and also myself. When a video is ready, I'll announce it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this ring light is really hot. Like, it produces an extreme amount of heat. I don't know if you guys can't even see this ring light, but it's massive, and it produces a lot of heat, and it makes me hot. And when I get hot, I get stressed out. So for the rest of this video, besides the ending of this video, of course, I'm gonna throw it back a bit. For the rest of the time here, this video will be a classic ZeroOmens gameplay commentary. In fact, why don't we roll the classic intro real quick? Feels good to hear and see that classic intro again. So why don't we talk about what I have planned content-wise for 2024? And look, disclaimer, I'm not going to give you guys a list of videos like last year because, well, as I previously stated, some of those videos just never saw the light of day. However, I have a few big projects in the works and they're developed enough to the point that I feel confident in sharing them. First is a sequel to one of my most popular videos ever, the new Adult Swim Iceberg. This video will be my longest video to date, way longer than the Venture Bros Iceberg, which was like 2 hours long. And that'll be the first video of the new year. The second big project I'm working on that I teased a little bit on Twitter recently is that I'm ranking every single Aqua Teen Hunger Force episode, including season 12. The third big project is the Modern Warfare 2 Iceberg. I'm talking about the good one, not the poopy one. You guys have been really enjoying the Golden Age Call of Duty related icebergs lately, so I'm definitely going to continue the series. There are also like 4 other icebergs that I've been slowly piecing together in the background for the last year. 2 of them are the Mr. Pickles and the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia icebergs. I've been working on those 2 since like February of this year. Like the thumbnails are done and everything. Then I've been slowly writing icebergs for Letterkenny, which is one of my favorite shows ever, which sadly ended recently, and that makes me very depressed. And also Rick and Morty, which I'm super excited to tackle. On top of those projects, I do have a very special announcement for you guys. I've been in talks with a very talented artist to help me with a little project. Now, I won't say too much as of now since we're still piecing that together. However, you guys are going to see a pretty interesting change to this channel and the videos sometime next year. And God, I hope you guys like it. So in terms of YouTube, I have one final announcement for you guys. Who here is an old school ZeroOmens fan? And I mean, who here was around when I was still making gameplay commentary videos? If you've been here forever, leave a comment below, because I'm genuinely curious to see how many of you guys were around since I was uploading those old school gameplay commentaries talking about whatever. Well, you OG ZeroOmens viewers are probably wondering why I haven't mentioned anything about gameplay commentary videos, or maybe why I haven't been uploading them as often this year. And so for those of you who don't know, before I started creating these bigger videos about my favorite shows and games, I used to make commentary videos. I guess you could say I was somewhat a part of the commentary community on YouTube. Over the last few years, the commentary community, at least to me, has turned into this toxic cesspool of covering negative stories, allegations, and drama, and because of that, I just slowly left the scene. Creating those old videos on negative topics was just sad. It was just depressing. Now, I'm currently very much happy making the videos that I am now because these big projects are very fulfilling to create. However, a big part of me misses making little 5-minute gameplay commentaries on random garbage on the internet, so I've devised a plan. I am bringing back the classic ZeroOmens commentary videos. However, there are 2 rules to this. Numero uno, the commentaries will be uploaded to my second channel. So my second channel will now be a haven for you hardcore viewers, fans, and friends who want to learn more about me and watch more content from me. ZeroOmens will be a haven for long-form content pertaining to my favorite shows, movies, and games, and Zero Plus will be the home for gameplay commentaries and experimental content. And number 2, I'm not going to cover any dumb internet drama, any allegations, disgusting stories, etc. I don't like talking about negativity. I like to focus on the positives of life, you know, when I'm not in a terrible mood. So if I'm making these videos again, then I want to focus on topics that are fun, hilarious, over the top, and just make me happy to talk about. I have a bunch of topics saved up, and I'm super excited to start working on those videos again. I plan on beginning the second channel revival sometime in January. I don't have a schedule yet, but I would like to put out at least 1 video a week, maybe every Sunday or Monday, but you know, we'll see what happens. By the way, this won't take away from the main channel content, I promise. So besides YouTube, let's talk about some music stuff, specifically Water on Red. And for those of you who don't know, I'm in a band called Water on Red. As for the band, Saoirse and I are going to release 1 more EP sometime next year. After that, we're going on a quick hiatus until probably 2025. There's no drama or anything like that. We're still besties and we're going to continue working on music this coming year, but we won't be releasing anything new until at least 2025. But don't take everything I say seriously, because plans always change, and I'm a very indecisive person. That's the plan as of now, but we might drop something else in 2024. We'll just have to see what happens. But anyways, subscribe to the Water on Red channel and check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. Only if you like metal music, or pop punk now, or whatever Daytona 89 is. So now that we've covered 2023 for a minute, let's do a quick Q&A. Recently, we hit 20k subscribers, and to celebrate that milestone, I decided to do a Q&A. However, since it's the end of 2023, and we just hit 20k this month, instead of making 2 separate videos, I decided to just combine them into one. So the rest of this video will be focused on the 20k milestone. You guys sent me a ton of questions both on the Discord server, link in the bio, and on the community tab on YouTube a few weeks ago. So why don't we dive into those questions? But before we do, why don't we change up the gameplay here? Because I'm sure you guys are tired of seeing the same game in the background. It's totally not because I recorded the Q&A portion of this video like a week ago and used different gameplay or anything. Okay, here we go. Firstly, congrats on 20k. You earned it. My question to you is, what was your favorite video to make? Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. As for my favorite video, it was originally my channel trailer from a couple of years ago, but I think now my current video that I've ever made is maybe the Venture Bros iceberg, just because that project took such a long time to develop, and it's my longest video ever, and I was fortunate enough to work with so many awesome creators on that project as well. Although the video isn't my most popular and realistically didn't do as well as I would have hoped, I'm still proud of the video and I'm happy that a lot of people still enjoyed it. Who's your favorite in the server? Now, in case you guys are a little bit confused, I have a Discord server that you can join right now by clicking the link in the bio. But as for my favorite person in the server, well, I don't have a favorite. I mean, come on guys, listen, I dislike everyone equally. Would you rather fight a dozen duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? Well, I don't really want to fight any animal, you know, because I just think the idea of fighting an animal is really uncomfortable. But if it was like a life or death situation, I'm taking on a dozen duck-sized horses because they might be friendly and I might not have to fight them. I might just be taking care of a bunch of duck-sized horses. Favorite food? Sushi. I love sushi, specifically salmon rolls. Spicy salmon's good, tuna, fighter, whatever. Sushi's great, except California rolls. California rolls could die in a fire. What's your favorite color? Blue. But I also like black, white, gray, silver, etc. Yeah, I'm a simple man. I'm pretty simple and boring. What made you want to start a YouTube career? Well, I didn't really choose YouTube. YouTube chose me. Okay, so all jokes aside, I received my first camera for my 9th birthday and started just filming random little videos of me. It wasn't until like 2011 when I made my first YouTube channel, and then a year later I would end up making this current one that you're watching right now, although it went by a few different names before I eventually settled on ZeroOmens. I've always had a thing for filmmaking and creating, and in fact I wanted to go to film school or art school at one point, but I was and currently still am too poor to afford any kind of school. At this point, I kind of feel like film school isn't really worth it though because of the rise of social media. Like it's way easier than ever for the average person like me to learn or create something without leaving the house and spending a ton of money to do so. This isn't advice, by the way. Like, go to school if you could afford it. Anyways, YouTube has always been the only thing in my life that has stayed consistent, so I've just stuck with it. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Probably the only thing I really enjoy these days. How many tattoos do you got? If I'm being honest, Ed, I have no idea at this point. I lost track, but I can try and quickly run through them all. Excuse me for now looking extra photogenic today. I haven't showered yet. I didn't put on my makeup. I mean, I'm at this point now where I just have like crap all over my body. I have a bunch of Pokemon on my my left arm. I got a centipede. I don't know. I just have like so much crap on my body. This entire arm is getting covered up with something else, by the way. Don't get me wrong, I like these tats, and a couple of my good friends did a lot of these tats on me. But this entire arm is getting like a robotic sleeve at some point. This entire arm is still a work in progress. It's literally just gonna be like anime, because I'm a fucking weirdo like that. I mean, I got tats on my legs too. I don't even know if you guys can hear me anymore. I got a nun with a ball gag on my leg. I don't know if I could show this on YouTube. I have one on the other side of this leg as well. Can you even see it? I got another one on my leg too. I mean, you know what? I don't keep track anymore. I just get tattoos, and that's what I do. What show or movie cancellation pissed you off the most? It was The Midnight Gospel for me. And I haven't seen that show in a few years. Anyways, I do have a few. The new iCarly revival series canceling kind of irked me, mainly because they canceled the series after a cliffhanger. A cliffhanger that we've been waiting for since we were like kids. Like, I want to know what Carly's mom looks like. I want to get to know that character, but I guess we'll never know. Aqua Teen's cancellation kind of sucked as well, but it's back now, so I'm not too mad anymore. Metalocalypse and Venture Bros 2, but I think the one that I really got pissed off about the most was Symbionic Titan. Cartoon Network, Gendy, could you please consider continuing that series? Because it was so awesome. Do you like Nickelback? They're not my favorite band, but I could throw a song on and have a good time. You know, I know it was like a big meme to dislike Nickelback, especially when I was in school, but I'm 24 and I'm just now coming to terms with the fact that Nickelback is a great band and there are worse bands out there. I don't care how corny or cheesy the lyrics are, they go hard. What started your love for Adult Swim shows? Your videos are great, by the way. Well, I'm glad you enjoy the content. Thank you very much. Honestly, I was exposed to Adult Swim at a very young age, like way too young. And I have a very vivid memory of when I was first exposed to the network. My nephew and I stayed up extra late one night when we were kids. I was probably between 5 and 6, and he's a year younger than me. Now, my parents are pretty laid back and loose. Like, the word grounded or bedtime never really existed in my house growing up, which has its pros and cons. But anyways, one night we stayed up late and saw this TV show about talking food and these aliens. And so the next day we borrowed my mom's laptop and looked up Talking Food TV show on Cartoon Network. And we ended up discovering Adult Swim's website and found the name of the show and the episode. It was Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and the episode was Space Conflict from Beyond Pluto. Now this was like between 2005 and 2006. This was way before I was exposed to YouTube and before I was exposed to this kind of entertainment before. And I was just fascinated at the fact that there were talking food monsters cursing on Cartoon Network. So ever since that moment, I've just had this like really bizarre appreciation for Adult Swim. I mean, the shows on that network, the network in general, just kind of shaped a lot of my personality, humor, and jokes. What's your favorite episode of Adventure Time, and what's your favorite season of the show? Oh my god, this is such a tough question. So I know this isn't technically an episode, it's more of a special, but the Adventure Time Distant Lands special Together Again. I mean, that was such a fantastic special, and I truly think it was such a fantastic end to Finn and Jake's arc. I also really enjoyed the series finale a lot. No One Could Hear You was also great and creepy. And as for season, I guess I would say season 6, just because I really enjoyed the Orgolorg and Comet saga. Those are just the ones I could think off the top of my head. I'm sure there are dozens of other episodes that I'm completely forgetting about at this current moment. What out of any cartoon or Adult Swim show touched you the deepest emotionally, or moments in shows? So I'm gonna give you a few answers, but some of them are not Adult Swim related. I mean, Adventure Time is definitely up there. I'm also gonna say the Venture Bros and Metalocalypse. Really, the cartoons that have touched me the most are just anime. So like Cyberpunk Edge Runners, I mean, that show really fucked me up. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is another one, which used to play on Adult Swim. Inuyasha is another one. And I don't want to sit here and just list off a bunch of anime and show you guys how much of a fucking nerd I am, but those are the only kind of animated shows that I could watch where I really feel for the characters and can relate to them. Would there be any chance of making your own show on your channel, kind of like the Eric Andre show, or nah? So this is honestly a pretty interesting question. If you mean, do I plan to create a talk show series on my channel, then probably not. I just don't really think a majority of you guys would give a shit about that. I mean, I've tried doing podcasts in the past and they've all flopped, but maybe in the future, as long as I can create an idea that doesn't suck, I'd be open to it, maybe for like a second channel kind of thing. I don't really know though. This is a pretty interesting question though. Is there a show that got broadcasted on Adult Swim that got a second life like Family Guy? Yeah, there's tons of shows. I think Futurama and American Dad are some other good prime examples of shows that were syndicated to Adult Swim and then got a second life on some other network. What was the first show you remember watching? The first show I could really remember watching is either Bob the Builder, Thomas the Tank Engine, or, and this one's gonna sound very weird, Mr. Bean, but specifically the Christmas episodes of Mr. Bean. So I grew up towards like the end of the VHS tape era, but they were still pretty present in my house. So growing up, we just started buying DVDs, but we had like a ton of VHS tapes. And so when I was very little, I remember being obsessed with Thomas and Bob the Builder, and I had a ton of VHS tapes from these shows. So I would just kind of watch them on repeat. But I would just remember putting in these VHS tapes and just watching these shows on repeat. And for some reason, I had a Mr. Bean VHS tape and I decided to put that in one day, and I don't know, I guess I really enjoyed it. But that's about as far back as I could remember in terms of like shows that I remember first being exposed to. I think I also remember seeing like Totally Spies when I was really young. And there was also this like other wrestling-esque show that was on Cartoon Network at the time. I'll try and like find a photo and throw it up on screen. But I remember seeing that too. Oh, and Pokemon. I can't forget Pokemon, right? What would you tell someone who gave you a heartfelt speech about how your channel is the reason they make it through the day? To be honest, I'd probably cry. Honestly, I don't think I'm like the greatest person in the world. I tend to think very poorly of myself, and that's just a combination of like my low self-esteem and my terrible anxiety. You know, I just think I'm annoying. I don't really think my content is perfect. My voice is like, you know, half Billy Quizboy and half Overbite. So it would probably boost my confidence significantly if someone told me how much my videos meant to them. So I would probably just like thank the person and then run the opposite way before I start shedding tears all over them. I don't know. That's that's just me. When are you re-uploading your older videos? I don't think I am now, but here's why. So for those of you who don't know, here's some context. In our Discord server, I was going to make a specific archive channel dedicated to re-uploading some of my older videos that I have either deleted, made private, or whatever. However, I started digging through some of my older videos just to see which ones would be good to archive or put out on the Discord server. And you know what? I realized something. A lot of those older videos just suck. Like, I'm not saying any of these videos are any better, but the quality and editing isn't as decent as it is now, and I was also just a totally different person at a different headspace when I made those old commentary videos and sketches and whatever the hell else I did back in the day. And you know, I just don't really care for them as much. Maybe I'll react to some older videos on my second channel in the future, but I think in terms of making an archive on the server, those plans are just on pause for now. Maybe in the future I'll feel more comfortable re-uploading some of those older videos, but as of now, I just don't feel okay doing that. Because again, I just think a lot of those videos suck. Would you rather do it with a mermaid that... Okay, look, I'm gonna stop you right there. Both of these options involve doing it with an animal, which is disgusting, so I'm gonna have to decline. And finally, would you rather drop the soap or let Big Dick rain? Okay, alright, I think we're done. Wow, great questions, guys. Thank you very much. Oh god, I'm back again. Oh man, this light is still hot. That's about it for 2023, everyone. I hope you guys are ready for 2024 because I'm not. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed seeing my face, if you're excited for any of the new content I have planned for 2024 or anything like that, please leave a like, sub to the channel, click the bell icon, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, join the Discord server. All of the links are in the bio below. Have a happy, healthy, safe, and wild New Year's. But please remember, don't kiss your cousin.